Got the leader. That's a catch. Yes. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. The Forgotten Angler with me, Larry G. Today's episode is going to be all about tarpon baits, and which are my favorite tarpon baits. As you know, I don't fish a lot with live bait, but I do fish a lot with artificials if I'm not throwing the fly rod. I have re-embraced my spinning and casting gear since I got back to the panhandle of Florida. And man, I got to tell you, there is nothing more fun for me than throwing a bait caster for any species, let alone fish as big as tarpon. Spinning rods as well. But I want to go over the baits that I've been successful with since I got back here, as my transition from freshwater fishing for so many years out west in Colorado comes back to the salt and brackish waters of the region I'm in now on the forgotten coast of Florida, as well as back towards Pensacola, and our home there. But today we're going to be talking about tarpon baits and what worked for me well last year and what will work again this year. So sit tight. Here we go. Go over some of my top baits and what I caught my biggest tarpon on last summer coming up in this video. Don't go away. All right, so this is my tarpon bag. It is transformed. It used to be my guide bag when I was a guide out west for trout, and it's an old Orvis bag I've had for, I bet I've had this thing for 30, 35 years. Still works. I think all the zippers still work on it. But this is, when I'm going out tarpon fishing, this is the bag I bring with all my gear. And some of my favorites. I'm going to start off with some Z-Man. Really like these 7-inch jerk shads from Z-Man. Scented. I fish them in all different colors and flavors, and I really love the action on these. This is their coconut ice color, and I just fish these on a 1/4 ounce jig head. Any 1/4 ounce jig head will work. I do have some that I like better than others. Ideally, I want to be throwing a wide gap, 1/4 ounce or maybe a little bigger, maybe 3/8, maybe a 1/2 ounce jig head with a wide gap, size 5 hook on that jig head when I'm fishing for tarpon. But I love these baits, and I don't hook them. I don't, put them on the jig weedless. I do not like doing that ever. I do not like the point of the hook being obstructed by the bait at all when I'm fishing. So that's just a personal preference. So I'm gonna say one of my top threes, Z-Man jerk shads. I fish them in all colors. I've hooked tarpon on pretty much every color they make. My general rule of thumb for color selection, although this is not 1000% guaranteed, is personally on dark days I like to throw dark colors, and on bright days I like to throw bright colors. Some people may do that exactly opposite of what I do, but I've always preferred to throw dark colors on dark days, overcast, cloudy days. And if it's bright and sunny, I like throwing bright colors. That's what I have confidence in. That's what works for me. So scented jerk shads, 7-inchers from Z-Man, any color. I love them all. They all work. These have fantastic action on them, and I hooked a lot of tarpon on these last summer. All right, moving on. Bigger bait that I really enjoy throwing as well, and a very cool rigging system right here in multiple colors as well. I just happen to have just one of these left. So this is the original Hogy 10-inch soft bait, and then the hooks I like to rig them up. You can throw them with a standard jig head, but Hogy makes these keeper soft circle hooks, and I'll show you how that. I've got one, actually I think this one in the bag is rigged up, so let me show that to you real quick. Tarpon can't resist them. So very cool rigging process. Again, a 10-inch soft bait. Oops. And the rigging system on these keeper soft circle hooks, the entire hook is exposed, so you have a very good eat to hook up ratio with this bait. And suggested, and what I like to do is these hooks, they have a little corkscrew to screw the bait onto. Put a little bit of super glue on there, or one of your favorite epoxies maybe, and pre-rig them so they're ready to go. That's it. So the original Hogy 10-incher. These things are deadly. Really good tarpon bait. And others as well. I've hooked some big jacks on them as well. So that's another option for you. And one of my favorite go-tos when I'm out there tarpon fishing with the spinning rod. Another option, if you like to throw topwater baits for tarpon, this was one of my favorites last tarpon season. And it's this flying pencil from Oceanborn. Big flying pencil. And this is a floater. So you just reel this along, you skitter it along the top. I like to reel it nice and slow and steady. Cast it out as far as you can. And I fish, this is the pink and silver color. And I fish a lot of dark water in my area. So a little bit of commotion on the top can get their attention. So these flying pencils. Any stick bait maybe that you have a preference for is probably going to do the same job. But if you want some big topwater smashes, really like this Oceanborn flying pencil, the floater. And this is the 160, the big bait. So another one of my favorites. It's coming up, tarpon season. Can't wait. All right, finally I want to talk to you. I don't want to get too complicated with all the bait selections. I've got bags. These are all paddle tails. This whole bag is paddle tails, like 3.5 to 5 inch paddle tails. And then this is all jerk shad, 3 inch to 5 inch jerk shad as well, that I always carry with me. But typically I'm throwing exactly what I'm showing you right now when tarpon season arrives. Finally, I want to talk about Fishbites, the Fight Club series. These brawlers, these 5-inch brawlers, they're scented. Just a quick heads up on these, you need to keep these refrigerated. If you don't over time, they'll lose their color. They won't lose their scent, but they will lose their color. They'll still work, but if you keep them refrigerated, they'll retain their color. It's the same with all the Fishbites baits. Just a heads up to you. But this brawler series has been awesome, and I pretty much cover every color in the spectrum when I'm out there. So I've got 5 different colors, and I like all of them. They all catch fish. But in a second, I'm going to tell you what I caught my biggest tarpon on last spring, summer. Which color worked best for me out of this brawler club. I threw them all, but one in particular worked the best, which I found to be a surprise. We'll get into that in just a second. Always carry a good variety of leader material with me. Boom. I'm not super big on fluorocarbon. Again, most of the waters I fish have a little bit of color in them. So I typically will just throw mono. If I have fluorocarbon, I do have some spools. I will bring that. I carry 20, 40, and 60 pound. I prefer to fish the lighter stuff, as light as I can get away with. So I always have spools, a leader material. Now I am going to get into the bait that I caught my biggest tarpon on, actually 2 in one day on this color. And it's the Brawler series from Fishbites, the 5-incher. Not the big baits, not the 7 and 10 inch baits that I throw often, but these small 5-inch baits. And this is the color that got it done for me. Probably the biggest tarpon that I hooked. I never got him in. I fought him for about 30 minutes and he got me in deep water and I just couldn't budge him off the bottom. He went down deep and I just reefed on him to try and get him up to the boat and get him as quick as possible. Popped him off. But the color, right here, this TKO Brawler. It's a dark green. And I was fishing this on a dark, overcast day. and the fish were on this thing. I think I had 6 or 7 eats in one day on this color and this size, the 5-inch brawler, TKO color from Fishbites. Telling you, the Fight Club series, that got it done for me. So those are kind of, that's kind of an overview of all my favorite soft baits. And then the flying pencil I like to throw as well. I don't like throwing the big hard baits with treble hooks. If I'm throwing a hard bait, I switch out the treble hooks. I'm terrified of those things. So, but in general, I like to throw soft baits on a jig head. And again, for tarpon, I like to throw, let's see. So something like this right here. Yeah, the Z-Man. Swim bait eye. And that's a 5/0, 1/4 ounce. Nice big gap on that hook for hooking tarpon. So that's kind of what I prefer, and I'll throw that with most of the baits that I just showed you. The Z-Man, of course, comes with that keeper soft circle hook option, which I like to use for those 10-inchers. And then again, I like to glue those on. So that's kind of the lowdown on my baits for tarpon season. And it's coming up. We're gonna start seeing fish. I'm gonna say 6 weeks out, maybe some earlier, 5 weeks out, 5 to 6 weeks out. They should start showing up in our zone. So that's it for me. Hope that helps you catch some tarpon this coming season. Larry G, the Forgotten Angler. Thanks for checking in. If you have comments, questions about anything, please put it in the comment section. Please subscribe to the channel, and please like the videos if they're helping you out when you're out there on the water. Thanks for checking in. I am out.